Hello and welcome, I'm Aaron, and this is Boardscape, where I want to give you the most information possible to allow you to make the choices on what games you should buy, back, and play. Today we're taking a look at Mythic Battles Ragnarok. Now this was in my top 10 most anticipated games of 2021, and so far it has not disappointed. The content here is great, but it's not doing as well as anticipated, which is going to be okay. We can see here that this is just under $1 million in over a day. Again, not bad at all. But I think leading up to this, I was personally anticipating this breaking the 3 million mark, and that's not going to happen. It'll probably break the 2 million for sure, and end up close to where its predecessor was at about 2.25, 2.5, somewhere in there. It's got over 5,500 backers, 12 days to go, plenty of time to unlock a plethora of new stretch goals. Now, if you don't know what Mythic Battles is going to be a 3-part skirmish battle series. Ragnarok is going to be part 2. The first was Pantheon, which came out in 2021. No, this is 2021. It came out in 2017. And the Pantheon, let's scroll down here and show you the box in case you've seen it before. This Mythic Battles Pantheon explores the Greek gods, the Greek monsters, the Greek heroes, the lore and mythology surrounding all of that. Now we're in part 2 where we're taking a look at Ragnarok and the Norse gods, monsters, and heroes and mythology. In a couple years, we'll have part 3, and we'll be taking a look at the Egyptian versions of these same things. Now, this is going to be a skirmish game where you are basically going to have little people, miniatures, that you pick. So you're creating teams. You're going to have a certain amount of points at the beginning of the game, or even before the game, and you're going to take turns with an opponent picking who you want on your team, who you want in your army. You're going to pick a god, you're going to pick monsters and heroes and troops. You can try and formulate a single plan or spread the battle out. However you want to build your army in a way that you think will best defeat your enemy. And then you're going to be playing them on boards like these with these various areas. Now these areas are going to have terrain, so you can play in mountains, in forests, water areas, and those are going to impact things that happen to your troops as well. So Mythic Battles is a skirmish game at its heart. If you've played Unmatched, they're not anywhere near similar, but Unmatched is a very light introduction skirmish type game. This is going to be on the heavier side. So if that sounds interesting to you, then this might be a game for you. A game where you can build up your own little armies and try to defeat your opponent. And you're going to be doing a variety of things. You can try to kill their god. You might set the victory conditions at whoever gets the most runes, or in the Pantheon version, Umphalos, back first. Whatever scenarios you want to set up, you really can. So again, this is going to be a big game. I'm going to skip these stretch goals here, and we're just going to take a quick look at the pledge levels here to start. Now that you have a basic idea of what the game is, if you didn't already. Now, if you want Ragnarok, the core game, and the stretch goals, it's going to cost you $119, which, as far as Kickstarters go, is not that bad, right? You're going to get a crap ton of stuff for that price. And to be honest, for most people, that's all they're going to need. Now, of course, Monolith is going to try and nickel and dime people with some of these expansions, but you don't need those expansions. Unlike a lot of games, this core box has more than enough. So $119 for the Ragnarok version. If you missed out on Pantheon, if you missed the campaign like I did, then you can pick it up for $135. Now, if you want both of them, then you can get them for $240. You save about $15 by doing so, by combining them. And then Ragnarok is going to have a Yggdrasil all-in pledge. Now, That's going to be $300. And for those of you that followed Pantheon or have seen that Kickstarter in the past, you're going to notice that this all-in pledge looks nothing like what it did before. Let's take a look at that. If you see this small picture over here, this is everything that was included in Pantheon 1.5, which is so much more than Ragnarok. I mean, in Ragnarok here we have 4 small boxes and 1 big box. Pantheon has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 small boxes and at least 4 big boxes, if not 5. So much more content there and so much more bloat. And I think that that's what a lot of criticism that was thrown at Pantheon's way was that there was too much. Now, this is Monolith. If you've not followed Monolith in the past, Too Much is the name of their game. They've done the Batman Gotham City Chronicles and Conan primarily. They also did Claustrophobia, 1643, and then the Mythic Battles stuff. And with all of these, the Batmans, the Conan, the Mythic Battles, their core boxes are chock full of stuff. But people got Pantheon, it showed up at their doorstop, and they didn't even know where to put it because it was just too much. So they dumbed the campaign down a lot, and they narrowed down on the bloat, which personally I'm thankful for. A $300 all-in pledge is a lot more manageable than all of that. So we'll take a look at what all is included here in just a little bit. But $300 gets you everything Ragnarok. And then if you want it, you can do $300 for everything Ragnarok, and then $140 for the Greek God pledge. So you can effectively get everything, which is another thing that I will let you know, is that if you have Pantheon and want some of those expansions, or if you just want to get everything Mythic Battles that you possibly can, then in the Pledge Manager you will be able to pick up all of the expansions for Pantheon. So if you want them, now's the time to get them. Not too shabby. So let's scroll down here and see what all is included in this core box for $119. Here's what you get. You get the base box and the stretch goal box. We'll take a look at those now. The base box is going to come with 4 gods. Now, these are going to be your primary troops, your leaders. If your god dies, you lose, pretty much. We're going to have Freya, Hel, Thor, and Loki. Now, these Freya and Thor, I think, look amazing. Hel, I was surprised that they put her in as one of the core people. Like, that personally didn't really mesh with me or make sense to me. I understand who she is, but when you think of the 4 gods that they should include here, Hel seems like the odd man out. And then there's a lot of people hating on this Loki statue for the way that he's standing, for his cloak, for just the fact that he looks too much like the Marvel version. I understand the dislike. I really don't like the cloak. The fact that when you see him on the other side, there's no real... It looks fake. It looks like it doesn't look good. There's no ripples. There's no nothing. But the miniature as a whole looks fine. They did say in one of their updates that they have heard all of the criticism and are addressing it. So whether or not that means there will be changes to Loki, or if they're just trying to silence everybody by saying, okay, we hear you, I don't know. So, 4 gods. Now that I've ranted a little bit. Freya, Hel, Thor, Loki. You're also going to get 5 heroes. You're going to get Beowulf, Brunhild, Gulveig, Sigurd, and Lagertha. 2 versions of Lagertha. One of her holding a head, and one of her holding a shield. I am a fan of these heroes. I'm not a fan of necessarily the models. The Brunhild and the Beowulf, particularly Beowulf, just looks bland to me. I don't know how else they would really spice them up, but they both sort of look bland, especially compared to some of these other things that they have. But that's really neither here nor there. Once I get the game and I paint them up, I'm not going to remember, oh, I didn't really like this model. So I do like that they're giving us 2 versions of Lagertha. That's cool, I guess. You're going to get 4 monsters. You're going to get Fafnir, Fenrir, Hiram, and Jotun. So, all cool looking miniatures. If you like to paint, then this core box for 120 with the stretch goal box is going to give you a year's worth of things to paint. So, if that's your jam, then you might just want to get this for that, just to be able to paint. You're going to get some troops. You're going to get Berserkers, Jomsvikings, Oathbreakers, Shield Maidens, Olfadners, I'm going to screw up all these words, by the way, and Seers. Now, one thing that I don't know if I mentioned is that each person is going to have their own abilities, their own things they can do, certain talents that will play off of each other. So, when you're picking your guys, you're also picking their talents and their abilities as well. Other components in the core box, you're going to get 2 double-sided boards, giving you 4 different boards to play on. You're going to get the Raid of Hedeby with some fire areas, Vigrid, which is where Ragnarok actually takes place, Naglfar, and Memmer's Well, which this well has a really cool part where over here you're going to actually, when you enter the well area, you're going to stop your movement, roll a dice, and see what good thing you get. Everything from being able to move again, to peeking at the top of your cards, to peeking at the top of your opponent's deck. Just some cool, fun things, all good as well. I'm going to get the dashboards for all the different characters and cards, the runes that you're going to have to pick up, dice, tokens, 3D elements. Now, Pantheon came with cardboard elements. This is giving us actual 3D ones, taller trees with some little creepy faces on them. But the tall trees, I think, fits. At first, when I looked at them, I thought that they looked weird and out of place. But now that I've seen them in action with the King of Averages video, I like that they don't take up too much space on each area, but still gives the presence of trees. And then these stellies, and then the rule books. The rule books are available in English and French on here if you want to take a look. Now, if you don't know what's going on here, I would recommend getting on YouTube and checking out some of the videos of other people playing Mythic Battles Pantheon, the old one, the first game, because that's going to give you a real idea of what's going on here and how this game plays. The rule book will have some changes to it. They have updated some things and sort of tweaked and enhanced certain aspects in Ragnarok, but overall both Pantheon and Ragnarok are compatible. So, let's take a quick look at the stretch goals that we've gotten in this core pledge so far. We've unlocked Tyr, the god. So another god. This gives us 5 so far. This god miniature, Tyr loses his hand, and in this version he has a spike ball for a hand. Again, some people complaining about that, saying they don't want a spike ball, they just want a plain hand. Then cut it off. Get some tweezers or something and cut it off, and then bloody up the stump, and you're good. If you do anything with miniature painting or putting them together, then that wouldn't be too hard for you. We have a new monster in Garm, the Hellhound. New monster in Hrosvolg, this bird dude. We've got the hero in the Norns. We have Memmer, the monster. Now, it's going to be interesting and fun, and even a little thematic, playing Memmer on his well map, right? We've got Ratatosk, the monster. We have a new troop with Svinfilgingar. Now the cool thing about them is that they are a boar troop, so they have a boar head instead of, I think the others are bear and wolf. This one has a boar just to shake it up. We have a hero, an eagle. We have Grendel and Grendel's mother unlocked so far, so if you know the Beowulf story, then we have the trio. We have Beowulf, we have Grendel, and we have Grendel's mother. And then we have a sixth god in Skadi so far. We have the recruitment cards and the Draurg monster. We're soon to unlock Hyreken, who they say is a massive monster of a miniature at 1 million, so very soon. Now these recruitment cards are important and good and an easier way of picking your troops and at the beginning of the game. And so the way that this went down was there were a lot of people who really just complained. They liked the recruitment cards in Pantheon. That wasn't showing up here. Monolith had alluded to not putting them in the game. And then, as you see here, it looks almost like every 60 to 80,000, just sort of depending, there is an increase, a new thing unlocked. But when we go from Skadi to the recruitment cards, it's only 20,000. Making it seem to me as though they listened to criticism and quickly threw that in there to appease people, because it is something that was used more than maybe they thought it was. So far for $120, you're getting all of that. And so that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Let's go ahead and scroll down here. One thing that is new in this game is going to be attachments. And these attachments are going to cost some of your points at the beginning. And the way that they work is you will pick one of these on your turn instead of a troop or a unit. And then you will put this Jarle onto one of your player cards here. Your monster, your hero, or your troop. And it's as though that Jarle is leading that person into battle and giving them a special ability. For example, Hervor. This troop gains +2 attack when retaliating. Eric Bloodaxe gives +2 attack, but suffers 1 automatic wound at the end of this unit's activation. So a unit like the Oathbreakers is going to play a little bit differently, and your strategy is going to be different depending on if you have Hervor or Eric Bloodaxe on that unit. So I like the Jarls. I like what they give us, and the fact that they are able to shake up the game even more just in that base box. Now, if you don't know about Mythic Battles Ragnarok, one thing I forgot to mention is that it is a card-heavy game. And by card-heavy, I mean you're going to have 1 to 2 actions every turn, and you're going to be using cards to move your troops or summon your troops. This is going to show you how many cards are in the decks. And so if you want to activate Fenrir, but you don't have Fenrir in your hand, then you can't activate him. Of course, you have Art of War cards, which are sort of like wild cards and let you do a variety of different things. But there are going to be times that you need to be able to draw a certain card and you don't get it, which might mess up your strategy. Now, there are quite a few miniatures players out there that do not like this system, do not like being beholden to what you draw. For me, it makes it more board gamey, and I like that. So just note, there are definitely cards involved here. Over here, you're going to have the recruitment cost. You're going to have these stars, which show how many of his card are put into your deck. You're going to have his talents. You're going to have this, which is every time you get hit, it's going to go down a level, and your attacks and your defense and everything, your movement's all going to change. And then you have your primary and secondary powers. So every troop is going to be different depending on what their powers do for you. Of course, you've got your dice, and you can see the miniatures here and how big some of these guys are. So we've got these maps. Now let's take a look at some of these optional buys. Now, they did an amazing job, Monolith did, of taking the things people want and putting them in the add-ons, which, from a business standpoint, makes sense, right? They want people to buy them, and so there are two things people have been asking for a while now that I keep seeing over and over and over. One of them is included in Asgard here. Asgard is going to give us quite a few things for $60. It's going to give us 2 new gods, and Heimdall and Odin. So if you want to be able to play as Odin, and he's riding his horse, then you have to buy this $60 add-on. It's also going to give us a variety of other things so that make it worthwhile. You're going to get 3 heroes, Siggy, Thrud, and a Valkyrie. You're going to get 3 monsters with this elk dude, Hugin and Munin, who are the ravens that are associated with Odin, and the son of Muspel. And so, again, really cool monsters, making this worthwhile. Then you're going to get 2 troops, Giri and Freki, and the Einherjar. So you're going to get all of those, and on top of that, what a lot of people are excited for is that you get 2 new maps. So maps are a big deal in this game because that's going to change up everything. Everywhere that you can move, everything you can do, the different terrain. The maps are very important in this game, and we're going to get Valhalla and Bifrost, 2 associated with Asgard. So as far as an add-on goes, then this is going to be, if you want to spend the extra money, this is going to be the one to get. The 2 new maps make it worthwhile. The 2 gods, the heroes, the monsters. It's a good expansion. On top of that, we're going to have the other one that people have been asking for $20, the Ragnar Saga. Now, Ragnar's very popular recently with the Viking show, and rightfully so. That Viking show, I loved it up until Ragnar died, and then I personally think that the show it sucks now. I did not like it afterwards, but the first 4 seasons, 4.5 seasons maybe, are just amazing. I've watched them multiple times. And so this is going to be a must buy for me. They're getting my $20. I don't want to give it to them, but they're getting it. Because I could not play this Viking saga, this Viking game, knowing that I am missing out on Ragnar. So you're going to get 5 heroes here. You're going to get Aslog, who's Ragnar's wife. You're going to get 2 of his sons, Bjorn and Ivar. Ivar the Boneless, his legs don't work, which I think that this miniature is one of the coolest that I've seen. You're going to get Eystein Belly and Ragnar himself. Aslog, Bjorn, and Ragnar all seem to almost take their cues and their sculpts from the Vikings TV show, which, again, I'm not mad about because I like the show. And then you're going to get some of these attachments, these Jarls that can go with them. Which, are there... Yes, there's some Jarls up here as well. So besides that, we're going to have 3 Titan miniatures. The first is going to be Jormungand. Jormungand? I don't know. All 3 of these miniatures are going to be Titan-sized and are absolutely gorgeous. I'm not interested in the Titan-sized miniatures. I've talked to plenty of people who have played Pantheon who feel like the Titans almost ruin the game, and so they hardly ever play with them. And listening to some of their feedback with them, I just decided before this campaign launched that if there was any that added Titans and just Titans, then I wasn't going to get them, and they're adding 3. And I'm probably going to get them. Now, I'm not entirely sure, but I want them just for the miniatures to paint, because they look amazing. Jormungand is going to have quite a few, a beautiful sculpt, as I said, and then have an ability that's going to have tidal wave tokens, where you're going to turn some of these areas where he is, or around him, into water terrain, which is going to have a huge impact on the battlefield. When you're changing the terrain, which quite a few of these minis do, that has a major effect on who can do what when. After him is Surt, the guy that comes during Ragnarok or whatever. Again, an amazing miniature. I again want to just have this simply to paint it. And then he's going to have some burning tokens. And finally you have Nidhogg. Again, beautiful. That detail is amazing, and I hope that it looks as cool as it does here. So, three miniatures for $20 a piece, big miniatures. Way cheaper than miniatures with like Warhammer, 40k or whatever. And so, obviously not really comparable, but just for the miniatures alone, $20 is not bad. I just wish that I didn't have to get it all, but I can't help myself. So if you want card sleeves or dice, you can get those as well. And then there's going to be a $30 art book that they don't really have information on. So that is going to be Mythic Battles. If you want to watch some videos, then the King of Average has some good ones on this page. He has a review and an unboxing, so you can see the size of the miniatures as he takes them out. And then Board Game Coffee has some of the same things, as well as some French channels. So that's everything in Mythic Battles Ragnarok. Who do I think should get this game? I think that you should look into getting this game if you are interested in skirmish games, but haven't dabbled in them before. Don't know if they're really your jam. If that's you, I would say that you should be looking at either this Mythic Battles Ragnarok, the Norse God Pledge at 120, or the Greek God Pledge at 135. Both, just whichever flavor you like better. Go ahead and grab one and see if these are things, if this is a lineup that you're interested in. If you want to dive into deeper, you'll be able to make your money back without an issue. If you're okay with just the core pledges, then this, again, $120, this might be a game for you. There are going to be plenty of people who just get this core pledge and are perfectly fine forever with it. The amount of content is overwhelming in these alone, let alone the expansions. But if you're somebody that wants to go all in, $300 is not bad. Especially, again, compared to Pantheon 1.5, where it was over $500 for the all-in. So, yeah, if a skirmish game sounds fun, I would definitely recommend checking this out. Get just the core pledge. You don't need anything else. In fact, over and over and over and over again, I have seen people, when asked what they should get, those that have gone all in the Pantheon expansion say don't do it. That they don't touch half the things, that the core box has more than enough, that it's not really worth going all in. Now, this might be different because there's a lot less and it's cheaper, but still, it's not necessary. Where am I going to be on this? I am going to be saving. I am going to be at this $1 no reward pledge that just gives me access to the pledge manager. They said that the Pledge Manager should open in about a month, I think, maybe June, and will be open until September or October. So I'm basically going to be saving from now until October or September, whenever it's close to closing. Depending on how much I save and don't spend on other games, I am definitely getting Ragnarok, Asgard, and what is it? The Ragnarok, this all-in pledge, and then depending on how much I have, I want to pick up Pantheon as well. So we'll see when it gets closer. See what I can save, see what I can scrounge up. Let me know what you're doing. Is this a game that is interesting to you or that you find worthwhile? Have you played Pantheon? And if so, what were your thoughts? Or were you excited about this game? Has it met your expectations? Leave comments below letting me know the answers to these. And while you're down there, if you found this helpful, go ahead and subscribe. Check out the Patreon where you can win free games and help this channel immensely by pledging just a couple dollars a month. It's more help than you know. And as always, thank you for joining me, and game on.